Welcome back in, Steven Wright, head football coach, Cardinal Gibbons. Very good program in Raleigh there. Coach Wright, 12-2 last year, another really good season. How's the offseason been so far?
Well, first off, appreciate you having me on, Joel, and excited to, continue to be a part of High School OT. You guys do a phenomenal job covering high school athletics throughout North Carolina. And yeah, we've had a good off season, and are looking forward to what the season has in store for us. We started lifting in January. The guys have done a great job of, the goal is to get bigger, faster, and stronger in the spring. And we managed to do that. Guys have put in a lot of hours in the weight room, and hopefully that sets us up well for this fall.
Awesome. What's going to be the main point of emphasis between now and that first game in August? What's the main thing you guys are focusing on as a staff?
Well, I think coming out of spring football, it's just continuing to refine the skills and then, really kind of fine tune that depth chart and see where we've got some serious competition for certain spots, seeing who emerges there. And then, having those able-bodied backups that are ready to go at a moment's notice. And so, this summer we'll get some skill development in. We'll do 7-on-7. Obviously, we'll continue to lift and run. And so that'll be kind of that fine-tuning process that kind of everybody undergoes as we prepare for July 30th.
So on offense, it's kind of a good mixture of returning guys and new faces. Obviously, a quarterback, Gannon Jones, is one of the best quarterbacks in this state. We'll talk about him a little bit. But there's also some good players back in the offensive line. Aiden Kranick stands out. And then the receiver, Braden Karras, had a really big season last year as well. Just kind of go through the offense, starting with Gannon.
Yeah, well, we return a 2-year starter. Gannon stepped in for an injured senior, Whit Neubauer, his sophomore year, and carried us to 10 straight wins and a state semifinal appearance. And then he kind of kept that momentum rolling his junior year, had another great year, and got us to a state semifinal appearance again. Unfortunately, we ended up coming up a little bit short there, but to have a 2-year starter at quarterback returning for his senior year is always huge. At the end of the day, football these days is a quarterback-driven game, and to have your signal caller back is big. And so, obviously, we're excited to have Gannon back. Immensely talented and an excellent leader for us. Braden Karras was really kind of his main target last year, nearly 1,100 yards receiving. He's back in the slot for us, and we're excited to have him back. Very talented player, and somebody that we'll rely on as we work our way into the season. But soft hands, super athletic, got some good twitch to him, and so it'll be fun to see he and Gannon kind of continue their connection.
Very smart route runner too.
Yeah, no, he's a savvy player. In a lot of ways does a lot of the little things really well, and has talent to boast with it. So. He's a big piece for us to have back. He and Connor McGeehan, another starter for us last year. Connor did a great job on the outside, and so he'll be out there as well. A good veteran presence for us there. And then, of course, we got Noah Terry and Aaron Anderson, both of whom played at the running back position last year for us, both of whom are talented. And we're looking forward to having them in the backfield with Gannon. And then ultimately, none of those guys can do any of what they're gifted in without that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got 2 starters back and then a third guy who was really our first in, who got quite a bit of playing time last year, Kevin Walsh. So Kevin Walsh, along with Aiden Kranick and Jackson Monzes up front, will be big because at the end of the day, whoever wins the line of scrimmage is going to win football games. And so those guys will be key pieces for us.
And it's kind of the same story on defense. We have a mixture of guys back at all different levels. Starting up front, Griffin Cockerham, he's been a very impressive player for just first couple of seasons here. And is he going to be a junior this year? Is that right?
Yeah. He'll just be a junior.
Wow.
He's gotten quite a bit of attention in the offseason from FBS programs. He's a 6'4", 225-pound defensive end that also will play tight end for us. He's a 2-year starter, and so he'll be heading into his third season. was an all-conference player, and has a great skill set, super athletic kid. He's also a basketball player, started for our varsity team, and is going to be a big presence up front for us. And then at the linebacking core, we've got two starters back, Billy Turner and Skylar Alston, both of whom are talented kids. Skylar, the younger of the two, but with a big upside. He's a 6'2", 210-pound freshman that'll be a sophomore this upcoming season, and has gotten quite a bit of attention himself, from colleges at the FBS level. And then two big, players for us on the back end of the defense, Braylon Peebles and Xavier Hassan, both of whom have got Division I offers and have started for us for multiple years. Those guys will be kind of holding down that defensive backfield for us. So, yeah, we've got some good talent back, some veteran players on both sides of the ball. And, if we stay healthy, we feel like we've got a chance to be a pretty good team.
Any kind of twists in mind this year, whether it's offense or defense, maybe some things you do differently with the different kind of personnel you have this year? Obviously, with the new faces, there's different pluses and minuses of things they can do. Do you have any ideas in terms of that stuff so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're always tinkering. We cater both our offense and defense to the talent that is here, and so there's always something new, something different, based off of the talent that is either coming back or new talent that will be with us from the JV team. And so, yeah, we're constantly kind of playing with things, and we'll have a few tweaks on both offense and defense based off of personnel. At the end of the day, you try and take advantage of the talent that you have in the building, and and maximize it as best you can.
Are there any new faces that you might not know about yet that you're looking for, maybe having a breakout year this year?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have necessarily any new faces per se. I think we've got a couple guys coming up from the JV that should be fun to watch. We've got an offensive tackle that is a really big body that's got a lot of potential. His name is Malik Griffin, and Malik is a 6'5", 290-pound offensive tackle. As a sophomore last year, he started on our JV as the first year he'd ever played football. Wow. And we saw some great progress from him, and he's continued to excel as we went through spring football. So he should be a fun one to keep an eye on the offensive side of the ball. And then I think, a couple of guys that, specialists that are coming back for us that'll be really important for us. Will Fields, our long snapper, and then Evan Winley, our kicker punter. Both those guys come back. They're veterans for us. And a lot of times, those specialists kind of go unsung at the high school ranks. But those two will be really important, especially when you get into some tight football games.
Hey, those specialists, they can win and lose games. You have it right. They're unheralded, but they're very important. Very important. I'm sure people are well aware of your two coordinators, but for anyone that's watching for the first time, just kind of go through your whole staff there and what all these guys bring to the table to help you out there at Cardinal Gibbons. Yeah,
well, I'll start on the defensive side. Nick Drew does a phenomenal job for us. He's been with me now. Gosh, I want to say this will be season 8 or 9 for him. And so, he has been somebody that I have trusted immensely. I coach on the offensive side of the ball. And so Nick and I will often talk kind of big picture on what the defense is going to do each week. And I trust him to call the game and for him to prepare that defense. And he's done a phenomenal job for us. And so, he's a young coach that's got a very bright future. And, whenever they decide to get rid of me here, I'm sure he'll be a prime candidate to take over. So Nick on the defensive side really leads the charge there. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Bill Leedy, and he's been with me for the past 15 seasons. He came here with me. We started together here at Cardinal Gibbons, and has really been the brain trust on the offensive side of the ball. He and I, bat around ideas all the time. and I'll make my suggestions game plan wise. And, we really work well together. And one of the best things I ever did was hand him the play calling duties after our first season. I called the offense the first year, and then, and then I'd hand it over to him, and it made me a much better head coach because I began looking at the game from kind of that 30,000 foot view, and I was able to have my hand in all three phases versus just focusing on offense. And so he's been a huge plus for us, and is another guy that could easily walk out of here and be a head coach tomorrow if he wanted to, whether it's here or some other program. And so I've got, in my opinion, I've got two of the two best coordinators in the state of North Carolina, and I'm sure there's other head coaches that make an argument with that, but I'm certainly happy with our guys.
Yeah, with good reason. Good reason. Tell me about all the other assistants, the position coaches that are there helping you out as well.
Yeah, so back to the defensive side, we've got actually a new defensive line coach this year, Dakota Dozier. He came in and helped us out last year on our freshman and JV teams. Dakota's actually an NFL veteran, and so he's come in to help us out, and we're looking forward to having him with the defensive line on the defense side of the ball. And then MJ Saluadine is our linebacker coach. He's been with us for a number of years. He played it over at NC State and has done a phenomenal job with our linebackers. And then along with Nick Drew, there's Joey Strong. Joey's helps us out in the defensive backfield. He and Nick work together. And so Nick typically takes the corners and Joey will take the safeties. Sometimes they flip those responsibilities depending on, the maybe the week, but anyways, that's the guys on my defense side of the ball. A guy who helps us out with our specialist, Connor Fry. He actually played over at Ravenscroft and then over at UNC. He was a long snapper, so he helps us out there. And then Colin Hare is our wide receiver coach, a Davidson grad and actually a Hogger grad. And so he had fun. We had a little bit of payback last year after Hogger knocked us out of the playoffs in 23. So we got a little payback over there with those guys in 24, and it made his night. I'm sure there's a little bit of mixed feelings, but anyways, he helps us out with our wide receivers. And then Curtis Wilderman helps us out with our running backs. He's actually a former college quarterback at Indiana State and has been a phenomenal add to our staff. And then Coach Bernhardt and Coach Lamb, they take care of the offensive line for us. And as I said, kind of at the get-go here, we are useless, absolutely useless without the offensive and defensive line, and whoever wins the line of scrimmage tends to win football games. And so those guys do a great job up front for us.
Awesome. So this year is a little bit different. Obviously with the realignment, not going to be the conference you're used to. You're in the Triangle 6 now this year with, I think, one 6A this year because Felton Grove is not playing varsity yet. That 6A is Middle Creek. You're also with Cary, Holly Springs, and then who else? I'm still getting used to all the conferences. Let me think.
Yeah, Cary, Holly Springs, Middle Creek, us, Sanderson, and Felton Grove.
Sanderson. Yeah, it's all different. It's like they took from a few different conferences and put them all into one here.
Yeah.
Were you kind of expecting, what are your early thoughts on this league? I can tell you right now that Middle Creek might be the only 6A in this conference, but that's going to be a very good team this year. Yeah. So where do you what's your read on the early conference?
Yeah, no, we're excited to be a part of something new. I think we're in the Cap 6/Cap 7 for either 8 years, something like that. And so I think it will be fun to see some new teams within a conference. And we're excited about it, and we're looking forward to being a part of this conference. I think there's some really talented football teams that we'll be playing against. Kind of in Friday nights and week in and week out. And so we'll kind of see what happens. But we haven't played. I don't think we've played Cary High School since my first 2 years here. We had a contract with them, which was 15 years ago. And And so it'll be nice to kind of see them again. They're only about 4 or 5
Yeah, I was
miles
gonna say
from
they're
our
not too
campus.
far from you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're feel like they're right around the corner. Obviously, Sanderson is an opponent we've had in our old conference. And then, we have not played, at least my time here, we have not played Middle Creek or Holly Springs in the regular season or in the postseason. And so, those guys will be fun to match up against. And then, of course, Felton Grove will be a new school, and we won't see their varsity team until 2026. But,
Right.
yeah, we're excited to be a part of the conference.
Yeah, it's all very exciting, the new conferences this year. Before we go here, tell me about what you have in non-conference. I know that were you looking for a game recently? Just kind of go through those teams you're playing this year.
Yeah, so we start by traveling over to Greensboro to play Dudley. I think Dudley there's something like, what was it? I think 27-1 over the past 2 seasons or something crazy.
Yeah.
Their only loss is to West Charlotte, which was in the 3A playoffs last year. And so, super talented team. That program has been well established for many years. They've done a phenomenal job there. And so that'll be a great way to kind of kick off the season for us, is to travel over there to Dudley and kind of get an early test. And then we're going to host Maury out of Virginia. So out of Norfolk, Virginia, we'll host those guys. And somebody just sent me a graphic the other day. They're in their last 40 games, they're 40-0. And so we're going to have our hands full these opening weeks, certainly really throughout the entire non-conference.
Well, you've played teams on a streak like that before, and have done well.
We're hoping to disrupt that streak here. Yeah, we were able to do that a few years ago over at Wake Forest, and we're hoping to do the same thing here with these guys. And so after Maury, we've got we will host Southern Durham, super talented team, and with a well-established history of winning. And then we travel to Southeast Raleigh, who also is loaded with talent this year and is on the rise. And then we wrap up. Well, actually, I take that back. We don't wrap up. We've got 2 more because of Felton Grove not being available. But we've got then we host Mallard Creek, and they have. Even though they lost quite a bit last year, they've got a ton of sophomore talent that I think will be juniors this year. And so that'll be a team, obviously, to keep an eye on in the 8A classification in the state of North Carolina. And then our game to kind of plug in for Felton Grove for 1 year is Ambassador Christian out of Huntersville, North Carolina, a private school, newer program. And an opportunity for us to travel to them and kind of see what they're about.
Awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for going through your team and your schedule and your coaches. Getting really excited. It's about to be June here, and we'll be playing on Friday nights before we know it. So, Coach, appreciate the time, and best of luck rest of the offseason here.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on, Joel.